In the yogic tradition, the conventional meaning of yoga is to connect this Jivatma, that is the individual, to the Paramatma, that is the universal soul. That is the highest realization or the ultimate goal of yoga. Well, I am a bit cautious about this meaning. When we take this meaning, we will get agitated because we do not know what Paramatma is, what God is, what universal soul is, and all that. Let's not worry about that part. Because when we talk about God, every religious sect and belief conceives God in its own sense. And thereby it results in the conflict of images and identities of God. Let's not worry about this highest realization of the yoga. But it's very simple to understand at our level the unity, how to achieve this unity at this level, at this organic level. When we take this organism, human organism, it contains two parts. One is body, that is visible to all of us, and the other one is the mind that lives in this body. And of course, there is another third aspect of this organism that activates this life, and that activating principle is called prana. Prana is a vital force, and without it, this organism cannot function, cannot come into existence. But prana also is not visible to us, but it dwells within us. As I told you that without it, the organism cannot function. So let's keep that pranic force aside for a while. But body is visible, yes or no? This body is a reality. And within that mind, though we may not see it, we can feel it. We can feel the thinking. We can feel the thought. We can see the pain that is this invisible mind that dwells within this form, body, experiences. When stress comes, we feel that stress not only in the body, but also in mind. And this mind is very important because without mind, we cannot communicate. We cannot function in this world. And without it, we cannot generate knowledge. And mind is the most powerful implement that is given to human being. It is a nature's gift. You call it a divine gift. All other creatures have a mind, but the mind in other creatures, animals and birds, is not evolved. Whereas in a human being, it is highly evolved. Hence, we became very conscious of our body and mind. We look into the mirror, we see our image, the reflected image. We can see our body, we can touch, we can feel, all that we can experience. And this is a great gift given to all of us. The mind is invisible, and the body is visible. But this body is very important. Yes or no? Because without body, mind cannot exist. When the body perishes, the mind also perishes. Yes or no? As the body goes, the mind also goes. Now, as as we have already learned, the most predominant meaning of yoga is to yoke, to connect, to unite. Do you have that unity between the body and mind? Absolutely, the answer is no. The body goes in one direction, the mind goes in another direction. They are like two parallel lines, two parallel railway lines. They never meet each other at any point. And this is the problem that every human being is facing. Therefore, the primary object of yoga is to establish unity between body and mind here. When this is achieved here, it is very easy to establish communion with the nature that is outside us. So, therefore, the focus is on this body, the visible body. As I have just now said, mind and body are going in two different directions. Mind says something, body says something else, which is different. Body says something and mind vetoes it. So mind contradicts body, body contradicts mind. The mind says yes, the body says no. The body says yes, the mind says no. So this is the problem. Therefore, there is a split, there is a disintegration between these two important aspects of this human organism. And the object of yoga at our level, at the individual level, is to bring unity between these two, body and mind. How we can bring that harmony, that perfect coordination between mind and body. That body must listen to the mind, at the same time, mind must listen to the body. The body must carry out the instructions of the mind. At the same time, the mind must carry out the instructions of the body. This is called coordination. If this coordination is established, we are in the state of yoga. And this communion is very important here. To achieve health, health is important because without health, we cannot do anything in this world. We cannot involve in any physical activity. We cannot think, we cannot write, we cannot speak. So health is important. But health is to be understood in its holistic sense, not in a very narrow sense. Health does not mean that it is related only to the body, but health is also related to the mind. So health is a holistic term. It is a very comprehensive word. It includes body, mind, the food habits, the physical exercises that we give to this body, and so on and so forth. So therefore, health is not a narrow word that can be applied only to the disease of the body, as physicians do in the hospitals. So mind is important. The mind plays a terrible role on the body. If the mind goes off the track, the body also becomes restless. If the body is affected by a disease, the mind will not be active. If we have a small ailment, small cough, or a small cold, how we become restless? Do we feel to do any work? Absolutely not. So, this is the connection between the body and the mind. Unfortunately, we do not see this aspect, this fundamental aspect, because our sense organs are constantly driven to the outside world. We are more fascinated by the objects and things in the world. And we are more wedded to the pleasures that we derive from these objects and things in the world. Therefore, we are more habituated to live in the world, to get wedded to this outside world, but we have never cared to look at our body and mind. That is the fundamental problem with us. As I have now said, how the body affects the mind and the mind in turn affects the body. And if the coordination is not established between these two, it will result in stress, strain, and disease. Disease is not only for the body, but also for the mind. So, as I have just now given the example of how, when we are suffering from a cold, it disturbs the mind too. Therefore, health is very important. But health, as I said, is a comprehensive term. It is a all-inclusive word. It includes body, it includes mind, it includes our healthy habits, healthy actions, and healthy food habits, and so on. So therefore, the primary object of yoga is to establish union between the body and mind here. It is then, once you have this kind of coordination, a harmony between these two, a unity between these two, automatically it will reflect on others in the society. It will reflect on our environment, on our ecology. We can maintain a perfect harmony with everyone in the society. We can maintain that harmony with the nature. We can maintain that ecological balance, which is now become a biggest casualty in the world. So let us first achieve that yoga, that union at our level, at our human level. This is the meaning of yoga that I want to convey here very clearly. And, as I've just said, once we have this kind of harmony within us, automatically it creates harmony with the outside world. So that's not a big problem. But the first problem is with us. Therefore, it is in this sense, yoga is a science. It is a science of sciences, because the physical science deals with the outside world, with the matter outside of us. It probes into the characteristic features. It probes into the phenomenon, into the matter, how the matter works, and so on. So you have the knowledge that has come out of this kind of inquiry, and it is called scientific knowledge. And the main tool that is used in bringing out this kind of knowledge is intellect, that is called buddhi. Buddhi is very sharp. It can be trained. It can be cultivated. It can be sharpened. As the child goes to school, colleges, and universities, its mind is sharpened and sharpened. It gets more sharp and more sharp. So, intellect can be trained, and this intellect has the power of reasoning, has the power of questioning. It can question. It's only by questioning, by investigating, by interrogating, we can bring out the knowledge. And remember, all that knowledge that we see in the form of books and in the laboratories, in the universities, is the outcome of this most beautiful element in our body that is called intellect. I hope the listeners understand this particular point. Now, that is knowledge, but that knowledge is of the matter. Please remember that knowledge is of the matter, and the matter is outside of us. Now, what is there is also another kind of knowledge. Now, when we look at the phenomenon of knowledge, the basic question that arises, who is bringing out this knowledge? The answer is we, and in the singular form, I am. I am bringing this knowledge out. I am the cause of this knowledge, right? I am the one who is investigating this matter outside. So, who is this subject? Who is this person? Who is questioning? Who is investigating? Who is bringing out? Who is creating more and more knowledge? So, thousands of years ago, the sages of this land started looking at this subject, looking at this individual. Who is this individual? If I am not here, can I produce? Can I create knowledge? Can I investigate? Can I question? So, who is this? So, this person is very important. If this person is properly understood, then the matter that is functioning outside of us can be easily comprehended. So the sages thousands of years ago focused their attention on this body and the mind that dwells within it. Whereas the science, the natural science and physical sciences focus their attention on the outside world, that is outside matter. This is the difference. So uh, this inquiry, the inquiry into the mysteries of nature, into the mysteries of creation, have gone into two different directions in the world. One is in the West. The West has predominantly focused its attention on the outside world, right? That is on the matter. Whereas the sages of the Eastern world, Eastern hemisphere of this world, that is chiefly India, um, focused attention on this human being. So that knowledge has resulted in scientific knowledge, and this knowledge of the body and mind has yielded the self knowledge, that is, knowledge of the self, that is uh, the, um, uh, mm, the, the spiritual knowledge. So these are the two kinds of knowledge. One is knowledge of the world, another one is knowledge of the self. Knowledge of the world we can find in the West. The West is the master of the science. The East is the master of the self, right? So this way, these two kinds of knowledge have been created in the human civilization and history and culture. So the point here is yoga does not say the knowledge that comes out of the inquiry of the matter outside us is not invalid. No, yoga does not dismiss that. Yoga is not against the scientific knowledge that is all there in the universities and the libraries. It doesn't say. In fact, if we don't have science and technology, we cannot have the comforts and luxuries. We cannot have a minimum subsistence of living. So therefore, science and technology is essential. That knowledge also is essential. But what yoga says is there is also another kind of knowledge, that is the knowledge of the self, that is the knowledge of the body and mind. When this knowledge of the body and mind is perfect, when this body and mind are perfect, then we can also think of the the matter, we can think of probing the matter, we can generate knowledge. Therefore, this knowledge also is important. That's what yoga says. So ultimately, this knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the body and mind, and knowledge of the matter, that is scientific knowledge and spiritual knowledge, must be integrated. When these two are integrated, yoga is created. That is called union. I hope the viewers are following my talk. First, I have given you the meaning that how to achieve union. Let us not think about the union between the Jivatma and Paramatma. That is the highest philosophy beyond the reach of common human being. So I have focused the union here at the human level, achieving that kind of harmony between the body and mind, which is very important to maintain sound health and calmness and to lead a very meaningful life in this world. But at the same time, we also need scientific knowledge, without which we cannot live in this world also. Therefore, integration must be achieved between these two. This is the second meaning of yoga that viewers and listeners must take note of. I hope the listeners and viewers have understood the two essential meanings of yoga. And if you can understand these two meanings of yoga, I hope you can say that yoga is a science. It is the science of sciences. Why it is called science of sciences? Because it deals with the self fundamentally, because this is the cause, this is the originating point. The body and mind is the originating point. Or if this organism is not here, we cannot function and work in the world. We cannot think of the world. We cannot investigate the matter. We cannot bring out the knowledge, and so on. Therefore, this is one essential meaning of yoga. And at the same time, we need to combine, you bring unity between these two kinds of, uh, of knowledge. And therefore, I have called it, it is a science of sciences. It's not a religion. Remember, now you have followed my talk. Do you find any religious reference in my talk? Have I brought any religious reference to in my talk? You see how I have scientifically brought out the 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 the, 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 the functioning of this organism and the matter outside us. So it is not a religion. It is a religion of religion because it primarily deals with the spirituality, the element of spirituality. And that is what is focused in yoga. So therefore, I call it a religion of religion. It's not a dogma. It's not a belief. It's not a sectarian. There is nothing like that in this science. It is a real science. It is a practical science. Only you need a practice. We need experience. Experience. How do we experience it? Unless we testify it in our life, we must live. See, how do we know when I give you a mango um, and call it, it is very sweet? Only when you bite it, then you can tell that it is sweet. I felt the sweetness of mango. In the same manner, you should also feel that sweetness of the mango. It is the biting of the mango that gives you the taste of the mango, the sweetness of the mango. In a similar way, yoga, the importance and the greatness of yoga can be known only when we live in it, when we practice it. That is why I said it is a science, but it is a practical science. It's not a theoretical science. There is nothing like theory here. Of course, what I have been talking in these few minutes, in the last few minutes, may sound little theoretical, but then ultimately we need to take it to the laboratory of our living. What is the best way to test this yogic science? Our body and mind, our living. It is in our living in the world that we must testify how far yoga is true and real. So the practical experience is very important. And that is why I said it is a practical science. It is not a theoretical science. And it is also an art. Art essentially deals with one aspect of a human life, but it is a comprehensive art. It deals with the totality of the whole human being. It does not deal only with body. It does not deal only with mind. It deals with the body, with mind, and the pranic force that activates this whole organism, and so on. Therefore, it is an art that deals with the whole of our organism, not in parts, but in a comprehensive way. Well, um, there, when did it actually start, this yoga, which is now has become very popular in the whole world? Now, the originating point for yoga is India. Uh, Now, thousands of years ago, the sages of this land, as I have said in the beginning of my talk, how the sages focus their attention on this subject. Who is this subject? Who is this person? Who am I? What am I? So the inquiry proceeded further and further, and they meditated. And they meditated not living in the world, because to meditate you need a good sound atmosphere free from noise. So they retired in the forest. That is why these sages in those days were called forest sages. So they retired in the forest not because they wanted to escape from life, no, but they wanted a peaceful atmosphere. That peaceful atmosphere, not only, see, peace does not here means only inward peace. Outside is also very important. Suppose you get so much of noise outside, can we sit and focus and on anything that we do? Absolutely not. We also get disturbed. So therefore, these sages, in order to have a peaceful atmosphere around them, they went and retired into the forest. And there they sat and contemplated, reflected, and finally meditated. It is in their meditation that is called dhyana. They discovered the wisdom, the pure knowledge, and that knowledge is called knowledge of the self. So this kind of yoga was called a royal yoga. This was called classical yoga, and this classical yoga was purely meditative in character. Remember, they did not do any asanas, pranayama, and all that. They simply went to the forest, just sat in dhyana, and meditated upon the mysteries of creation, upon the complex relationship of man and the outside nature, and so on. So therefore, there were no asanas and pranayama and all that we now see in the whole world. That is why this form of yoga, that was the first form of yoga that had existed in this world, in this country, practiced by the sages living in the forest, was known as classical yoga. And this classical yoga is mainly meditative in character. So, and therefore, this is also called as Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga, that is the king of yoga. Raja means king, king of yoga. Because this Raja Yoga focuses only on the meditation. Meditation is a means, is a tool by which one can attain that kind of knowledge. So therefore, the focus in this form of yoga is meditation. And meditation plays a predominant role in the Raja Yoga. And this was the kind of yoga that had existed thousands of years ago in India. And therefore it was called classical yoga or royal yoga. Royal, that is king, Raja Yoga. Now, this kind of yoga was scattered. Everyone was practicing, everyone was going to the forest and meditating. So there was a need to organize, to systemize, bring all these practices into a a kind of science, a systematic science, bring all these scattered forms of practices on under one umbrella, and therefore the Patanjali was born in this land. The age of Patanjali was 500 BC to 200 BC before Christ. It is said. So Patanjali, who is this Patanjali? There is a legend associated with Patanjali. And this legend is very mythological in character. And how I'm just giving how who this Patanjali is, how Patanjali came into existence, how he organized these scattered practices of yoga in the world at that time under one umbrella, and so on. Now, the mythological legend goes like this. Once Lord Shiva is known for his dance, beautiful dance, cosmic dance it is called, and therefore he is also called as Nataraja, the king of dances. And that is why in all classical dances in our country begin with the worship of this Nataraja. Lord Shiva, they pay their obeisance to this great god Nataraja. So the Lord Shiva was known for this dance, and he was deeply immersed, involved in this cosmic dance, and it created a vibration in the different worlds, different abodes. And in the one abode where Lord Vishnu was seated on the Adishesha, was also completely enchanted by this dance. So it was so pleasing, so enticing that the Lord Mahavishnu also started vibrating his body. But he was seated on the Adishesha, that is the snake as the bed for this god. So uh, as Lord Mahavishnu started vibrating his body, that is, he was also moving, his body was also moving rhythmically along with the dance of Nataraja. And his body became heavier and heavier. And with the result, the Adishesha also felt the weight of Lord Mahavishnu. So once Nataraja stopped this dance, cosmic dance, so Lord Vishnu also came back to normality, and the body became lighter, and Adishesha did not feel any vibrations. Now Adishesha became little inquisitive. So he asked Lord Mahavishnu, what is that? What was that which prompted him to vibrate his body, move his body, and which made his body heavier and heavier? So Lord Vishnu said it was the cosmic dance performed by Lord Shiva. And Adishesha became very curious to learn this dance. And Vishnu said, to learn this dance, he directed Adishesha to go to Bhuloka, that is this is the earth, and learn this science from a human being. So, how to come to this world? At that time, there was a pious woman who was sincerely praying to the sun god every morning for a child, because she was childless. She had been childless for long, and every morning she went to the river, had her bath, ablutions in the river, and stood before the rising sun and prayed to the uh, God to bestow her with a child. So, and one day she decided, because she became little frustrated because there was no answer of her prayer from the God Son. So uh, that day became the last day for her, and she was very determined, very stern, and she told herself that this was the last prayer, and either she should die or that she should be bestowed with a child as a gift from the sun god. So with this kind of idea, she went to the river and started scooping water in her palms, and then started praying to the sun god. Exactly at this time, Adisesha came down from this abode of Lord Vishnu and straight fell into the palm containing water of this woman. And Adisesha was a snake. So as this pious woman praying to the sun god opened her eyes, she found the little snake moving in her palm in the water that she held in her palm. So and finally, she told us this was the gift, and that snake gained its original form and told that woman that she was his mother, and therefore he came down in order to learn the knowledge of the dance. So um, the pious woman known as Gonika, and the Gonika finally accepted as the gift of the sun god and made this is the story of Patanjali. Since he came down from the heaven and fell into her palms, therefore it's called Pata. Pata means palm, right? Anjali means that is Samarpana. That is therefore the name is Adishesha god Patanjali. So Patanjali was no other than the reincarnation of Adishesha, the reclining seat of Lord Vishnu. I hope the listeners understand it. And Patanjali grew, but Patanjali had half human form and half snake form. Therefore, you see the image of Patanjali in this way. Now, Patanjali wrote three great texts. One is Tantra text that deals with health, Ayurveda, and all that. The second text is Mahabhashyam that deals with the Sanskrit grammar, Panini, and on so. And the third one is Sutras, Yoga Sutras. So these Yoga Sutras are very important. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras essentially deal with yoga. So he was the master of yoga. He was the one who had organized, systematized it into a scientific way and gave it to the humanity. And all the virtues, the practices that the sadhaka should observe in his life or her life are codified in these sutras. And there are 196 sutras, and these 196 sutras are divided into four parts, namely Samadhipada, Sadhanapada, Vibhudipada, and Kaivalyapada. Now, the sutra is, the sutras were written in Sanskrit, and each sutra contains only, say, 6 to 12 words, not more than that. And sutra is a principle, and this principle is a riddle. This riddle is very problematic, and it has to be solved by the sadhaka. Each sutra is pregnant with a profound and deep meaning. So one has to read the sutra, understand deeply, remove each word from the sutra, examine the meaning of it, focus on it, meditate, contemplate on it, and meditate on it. Then you will get the essence, the wisdom, the actual knowledge given by this great sage Patanjali. So that is the origin of this yoga in our country. Now, how many kinds of yoga are there in the world? There are about 40 kinds of yoga in the world, right? These 40 kinds include, the japa yoga, the mantra yoga, tantra yoga, kundalini yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. Likewise, laya yoga, kriya yoga. Likewise, you have 40 kinds of kundalini yoga. Likewise, you have 40 kinds of yoga. But all these 40 out of these 40 kinds, only four are very important. One is called Raja Yoga. The second one is called Karma Yoga. The third one is called Bhakti Yoga, and fourth one is called Jnana Yoga. But apart from these four yogas, The other three more kinds are also important. That is Japa Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Laya Yoga, and Kundalini Yoga. So these are the kind. Other kinds are there, but they are not so important. They are not being practiced in the world. So these four kinds are very important. Now, you have heard the word Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga does not come in the yoga at all. It is in fact because Patanjali did not talk about asanas elaborately in the 196 sutras. Nowhere do we find these asanas that you see in the whole world practiced by the yoga teachers as well as the students. No, Hatha Yoga. In fact, Patanjali defines asanam in a very simple way, in three words. Stiram Sukham Asanam. Look at how simple the sutra is. The sutra contains only three words. Stiram Sukham Asanam. Stiram means stable. That is, one must be very firm in whatever position he is or she is, in whatever posture. It may be a standing posture, it may be a sitting posture, and so on. And Patanjali deals only with the three sitting postures, Padmasana, Siddhasana, and Sukhasana. So therefore, these three. So one quality of asana is stiram and sukham. In that stable position, in that stable posture, one must feel comfortable without any irritation, without falling sick. That is called as sukham. So they are, and so these two, stiram, sukham, are equal to asanam. So asanam, any asanam, that is any posture that we apply, should fulfill these two conditions, that you must be able to withstand, that you must be able to stand firmly, sit firmly in that posture long, and then you must feel comfortable. You should not feel any stress and strain in any part of the body. So that is how Patanjali has defined asana. But then in the world, you see so many asanas are being practiced, and they are called hatha yoga. Hatha means in Sanskrit forcible, forcible. Therefore, Hatha Yoga is called forcible yoga. It's called forcible yoga. Now, this is an offshoot of asana, one aspect of the Ashtanga yoga that is given by Patanjali. In fact, Patanjali's yogic system is called Ashtanga yoga, comprising 8 steps, 8 limbs. Ashta means 8. Anga means limbs, starting with Yama, Niyama. These Yama and Niyama are related to do's and don'ts, what we should do, what we should not do in the life, in our living. So Yama comprises 5 principles. Niyama contains 5 principles. They are called 5 virtues or 5 cardinal qualities, and 5 plus 5, 10 qualities. These Yama and Niyama comprising 10 virtues lay strong ethical foundation for sadhaka, because ethical moral life also is very important. Without moral life we cannot proceed, so our system becomes weak. See, for any structure, for any building, if it wants to stand firmly on the ground, on the surface of the earth, it must have a strong roots, that is foundation. If the foundation is weak, the structure will also become weak, and it will crumble and crack and collapse. So also Patanjali has given so much importance to this ethical living. This ethical living is very, very important. Unfortunately, we neglect this ethical living. So those who take to yoga must follow this ethical discipline, this moral discipline, which lays strong foundation. Because after all, ethical life also is important. If our ethical life goes wrong, we will develop negative emotions, negative feelings, and these negative emotions, feelings will also cause disturbances in the body, and they also become the causes, potential causes for diseases in our body. So ethical living also comes to play a very important role in yogic life. Then the third limb is called asana, that is called posture. And as I've said, Patanjali has not dealt with so many asanas. only the Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga developed only just 400 to 500 years ago. Um, by There are three important texts that deal with this Hatha Yoga. That is, first text is called Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Second text is Gerenda Samhita. Third text is Siva Samhita. These three texts deal with Hatha Yoga, asanas, pranayama, kriyas, mudras, and so on. So these texts deal with 84 asanas. So 84 asanas have been identified. Of course, now what you see in the West, especially in America and Europe countries, the yoga that is practiced is not called real yoga. It is one aspect of yoga. It is one form of yoga, and it is called fitness yoga. It is called calisthenics. This is the yoga that is in practice throughout the world. Unfortunately, this is mistaken for the real yoga, that is classical yoga. Now, I have explained in the beginning of my talk the classical yoga, the Raja Yoga, royal yoga, how it began thousands of years ago, how it was practiced by the sages retiring in the forest, how they focused their attention on this body and mind, how they contemplated and meditated, and how they discovered wisdom and knowledge, and so on. That is the pure yoga. This pure yoga is unfortunately confused with the yoga that is in practice in the West. See, the origin of the yoga in Western countries, especially America, is took place when Swami Vivekananda visited America in 1893 when he went to Chicago to address the World Parliament of Religions. There, Swami Vivekananda introduced Raja Yoga. He did not introduce Hasta Yoga, no, Hatha Yoga. So it was called Raja Yoga because Swami Vivekananda focused more on meditation. His method of yoga includes only meditation, not asanas and all. But unfortunately, the later people who went from India to America started introducing asanas because the Americans were more interested on health. They wanted to give priorities to health. So they turned from Raja Yoga to Hatha Yoga. And this Hatha Yoga, in course of time, got mixed up with the gymnastics and finally emerged into the kind of yoga, Hatha Yoga, that is in practice throughout the world. And this has become a fitness yoga. Therefore, please understand, yoga teachers should not be confused with yoga gurus. Yoga teachers are trainers. They are like masters in the trainings institutes. They are not to be taken for yoga gurus. Yoga gurus are hardly found in the world. You see, they can be counted on fingers. Yoga guru is one who is practically living in yogic life, leading such a yogic life, and following the kind of yoga that was practiced by the sages. So that was the kind of yoga. And whoever gains that knowledge, living in that kind of yoga is called guru. And that guru, yoga guru, is hardly seen in the world. What you see in the whole world are full of yoga teachers and masters, right? So then there are so many schools that came out in the West, especially in America. Uh, Actually, this Hatha Yoga became more prominent in 1920 in America. And since then, it has gained more importance because these asanas are related to the body, different postures. Each posture focuses on a particular aspect of the human body and it activates. So, after all, the human body is to be taken in totality. So, what is the form of exercise that activates every part of the human body? That is asana, not in any physical exercise, gymnastics, or of course, gymnastics is totally different. But walking, jogging, running, all these are related to particular parts of human body, but yoga revitalizes the whole system, the asana especially, these asanas practiced in the whole world. So There are different schools offering this kind of Hatha Yoga in the world. There are about 40 schools like BKS Iyengar School, Iyengar School of Yoga. It is called Furniture Yoga. Similarly, Bikram Seth Chakravarti is also offering one. This is called Power Yoga. We have Kriya Yoga that is offered by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Then you have Isha Yoga, that is Jaggi Vasudev. Bihar School of Yoga, Lonavala School of Yoga. Then you have a Krishnamacharya School of Yoga, Deshikacharya School of Yoga, then Divine Life Society School of Yoga, Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda School of Yoga. So likewise, you have 40 schools of yoga. Each school is propagating its own version of yoga. And of course, they have not diluted from the classical yoga, whatever yoga that is taught in all these schools is one way or the other related to the classical yoga. So what do we need to do yoga? First of all, to lead a yogic life, an integrated life, we need sound health. Without health, we cannot lead such a life. Therefore, health is given prime importance in yoga. And how to create yoga, how to create health. As I already said, health is a comprehensive word, comprehensive term. Therefore, health is not merely related to the physical exercise, but it also is related to our food habits, our hygienic food habits. But given the circumstances and the world where we live, our food habits are not correct, not proper, not a healthy one, unhygienic. Therefore, the food also is an aspect in the sound, in creating sound health. Not only the asanas, but the food that we take is very important because the food also acts upon our vital aspect of our living, that is the emotional aspects and the feelings and so on. And the practice of virtues are very important. I have already focused on that. That is the, the yama and niyama given by uh, the Patanjali. And not all virtues can be practiced. If one can follow one virtue true to its spirit, that is enough for the whole life. So, how can we achieve good health? Good health is achieved by doing asana and pranayama. Pranayama is related to the control of the pranic forces within the body. There are so many millions and billions of nerves within the system and trillions. In fact, the science tells that the ordinary and average human body comprises 32 trillion cells. 1 trillion is equal to 10,000 millions. So you can multiply it 3,200 billions of cells are in the condensed form. And, uh, and these every second, 2 million cells are dying and new cells are created. So what these cells, these nerve centers are very important. According to the yogic science, there are 72,000 invisible nadis, nerves within the body. These are invisible even to the doctor, medical practitioner. So out of these 72,000 nadis, only 9 are identified important. Out of 9, only 3 are important. That is Ida, Pingala, and Susna. Now, the performing of asana and pranayama will purify not only the tissues, cells, but also the nerve centers. The nerves must be purified so that fresh energy is created, more oxygen is pumped. More oxygen is required for the body. Why? Because right now, because of our unhygienic food habits, our cells are accumulated with the toxins, our tissues are accumulated with toxins, our nerves have become weak. We do not have a proper breath. We do not have a regular breathing, rhythmical breathing. So because of all these, we are getting disease. So because of our wrong food habits, toxins are getting accumulated in the cells and tissues. And therefore, at one point of time, these toxins accumulated in the cells and the tissues emerge in the form of diseases, and they become acute and then slowly into chronic. So asana and pranayama will activate all these cells and tissues and nerves so that the toxins accumulated in these cells, tissues, and nerves will get burnt and space is created. When space is created, more space is created, more oxygen goes there. When more oxygen is pumped, the cells, tissues, muscles, bones are all purified. This way, health is achieved. So, um, 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 ultimately, well, in the Ashtanga Yoga, I have dealt with these four elements, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. And pratyahara is withdrawal of the sense organs from the world. That is, this, we, we unnecessarily involved in activities, in actions in the world. We unnecessarily go and create things and put them on our head. Now, sense organs, pratyahara is now and then we withdraw from our sense organ from the world because this is very essential for leading a, 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 a calm life free from tensions and strain and stress. And dharana is concentration. This is a very important. Concentration is focusing your body, mind at once on a particular object or idea or thing that you do. So this is not doing many things at a time. That is not called concentration. But all of us do so many things at a time. See, 3 or 4 things at a time. That is why we are not able to achieve any perfection in anything. So that is about dharana. And dhyana is meditation. That is entirely a different topic. I shall deal with it later on when I am given an opportunity by the college principal and the lieutenant, Mr. Venkatramana. So I think I have made the points clear in the given time. Let me close this or let me end this talk with this kind of saying by Veda Vyasa in the Vishnu Purana. Veda Vyasa in the Vishnu Purana says that yoga teaches yoga. Yoga is to be understood through yoga. Comprehending yoga must take place only through yoga. One can free from all distractions only by practicing yoga through yoga. And one can realize the ultimate object of yoga only through yoga. So what this connotes is that what we need is practice sadhana. That is called sadhana in Sanskrit word. Sadhana, that continuous practice is very important. Then you will see that I am the best example before you. I have been living this kind of life for 4 decades. I am the best example. Remember, I have never spoken outside. I have never come out from in the world and started giving talk. I waited for 3.5 decades, 35 years to testify this yoga in my body and mind. And once I am convinced by this practice, I have come out and I am giving and sharing my experiences with all of you. So thank you very much for listening to me patiently, all the viewers and the listeners. And I also thank Dr. Vasi Bhaktiari and Mr. Venkatramana, my good student, for organizing this wonderful seminar. In fact, this kind of seminar is well thought out by the principal and Mr. Venkatramana. I wholeheartedly congratulate these 2 gentlemen. And I hope these 2 gentlemen will collaborate together in future and organize such kind of programs for the benefit of students. In fact, young people need this kind of knowledge. They need some direction. They need some guidance. And you see how the world is full of technology, and technology is misguiding the people. So we need some kind of guidance, and such kind of programs will definitely be beneficial to the student community and everyone in the world. Thank you very much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you very much, sir. Very excellent presentation. You have very much explained us and enlightened us on the yoga and the importance of yoga. particularly nowadays, yoga is not only in India, but throughout the globe. Worldwide, yoga is very much popular. And this is the fragrance of East. As you have spoken rightly, this is the fragrance of East, and it is a science of self.
Yes, that
This
is
is the science of
correct.
self, and it is not a religion, but it is
Yes,
a religion of all religions.
yeah, very
It is
good.
a religion of all religions.
Yes,
Yoga is nowadays very much important and very much essential.
everybody can
Because,
practice.
yes, because for the coherence and coordination of body and mind.
That's fine.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you
Yes,
very
thank
much.
you, thank you. Venkatramana is there. Closing remarks, any vote of thanks, nothing of that sort?
Yes.
Right. Any questions I can answer? If there are any questions? No.
Professor Ragpati,
Yes.
I have got a question. I'm Karun Jha.
Please. What are you? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Colonel Dinesh Jha, CEO NCC Battalion, Kadapa.
Very good. Fine. Very happy to see you on the screen. Wonderful.
Yes.
I must also congratulate you. I forgot to, because since I don't know your name, so I must say
Thank you.
congratulate you. I think you should take this credit on your cap. It's a feather on your cap. Yes, wonderful program. You have done it. You have coordinated with Mr. Venkatramana. Good.
We are all your discipline, sir, and teachers. Only thing I want to ask you, I'm practicing this for last 30 years.
Wonderful.
And
Good.
it has helped me immensely.
Very good.
If you could, in a 5 to 7 sentence, convey this thing in Telugu to students, how to initiate it. Because whatever you have taught is an ocean of knowledge.
Yes.
We want to come down to Penna river size.
Yeah.
Just how student can start, like Padmashan or Kamlashan or something like that. Some kind of initial or normal pranayam or Anulom Vilom, something like that. How it will help them in education, memory power, concentration.
Yes. Yes.
So just 2-3 minutes, if you can tell them in a Telugu, sir.
Oh, in Telugu. Okay, right.
Yes.
విద్యార్థులు
Urdu.
రైట్. ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పడం ఏంటంటే తెలుగులో ఒకటే, ఈ యోగా ఎందుకు మనము సాధన చేయాలి, ఎందుకు ఆసనాలు చేయాలి, ఎందుకు ప్రాణాయామం చేయాలి, ఎందుకంటే మనకు ఆరోగ్యం చాలా ప్రాముఖ్యం కదండి. ఆరోగ్యం లేకపోతే మనం ఏమైనా చేయగలుగుతామా? మనం ఏమి చేయలేం కదండి. ఆరోగ్యం కానీ ఆరోగ్యం అనేది ఆరోగ్యం అనేది మన శారీరక ఆరోగ్యమే కాదు, మానసిక ఆరోగ్యం కూడా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ కదండి. సో మానసిక ఆరోగ్యం, శారీరక ఆరోగ్యం, ఇవి రెండు చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ మన జీవితంలో. ఇవి రెండు బాగా ఉన్నప్పుడే మనము ఏదైనా చేయించగలము, ఏదైనా సాధించగలం కూడా జీవితంలో. ఇప్పుడు మీరంతా యువకులు, మీరంతా యువకులు బాగా వీటిని కలలు కంటుంటారు. నేను ఇలా కావాలా, అలా కావాలా, నేను ఒక ఐఏఎస్ ఆఫీసర్ కావాలి, నేను ఒక మంచి పోలీస్ ఆఫీసర్ కావాలా, నేను ఒక మంచి రాజకీయ నాయకుడు కావాలా, మంచి ప్రొఫెసర్ కావాలని అనుకుంటుంటారు. కానీ గోల్స్ అన్ని బాగున్నాయి, మన యువకులకి గోల్స్ చాలా ఉన్నాయండి. ఆ గోల్స్ లో మాత్రం మాత్రము మనము వెనకంజాల్సింది లేదు. వాళ్ళకి మంచి గోల్స్ ఉన్నాయి, కానీ దాన్ని ఎలా పరిపక్వత చేసుకోవాలి, దాన్ని ఎలా ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేసుకోవాలనేది ఇప్పుడు యువకులకి చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఈ యోగా చేసిన వలన ఈ ఆసనాలు, సింపుల్ యోగా ఆసనాలు, ఇవి ఏంటంటే ఈ కరోనా వలన ఈ వర్చువల్ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ ఇలా వచ్చేసినాయి. కానీ అదర్వైజ్ నేను పర్సనల్గా వచ్చిండేవాడిని, అక్కడికి వచ్చి కొంచెం సింపుల్ కొన్ని చూపించిండేవాడిని, కొన్ని సింపుల్ ప్రాణాయామం చూపించింది. అవి రెండు ఒక డైలీ ఒక 30 నిమిషాలు మనది కాదు అని చెప్పి కూర్చొని చేసుకుంటే మీలోనే ఒక మార్పు చూడగలుగుతారు. సో ఈ మార్పు ఏంటంటే ఈ శారీరకంలో మార్పులు రావడం, మానసికంగా మార్పులు రావడము, ఇలాంటివి మీరే చూస్తారు. అప్పుడు మీకు ఒక రకమైన ధైర్యము, కాన్ఫిడెన్స్, నమ్మకము, కరేజ్, ఆ మారల్ కరేజ్, కాన్ఫిడెన్స్, ఇది మీలో వస్తుంది. ఆ విల్ పవర్ అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఏదైనా సాధించాలన్నా, మనం ఏదైనా చేయాలన్నా ఆ విల్ పవర్ కావాలి. విల్ పవరు, సెల్ఫ్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్, మారల్ కరేజ్ అండ్ ఫెయిత్, నమ్మకం. అది శ్రద్ధ అంటాం సంస్కృతంలో, ఫెయిత్. ఇవి లేకపోతే యువకుల్లో మిమ్మల్ని వృద్ధిలోకి రాణించలేరు. కాబట్టి ఇలాంటి క్వాలిటీస్ మీరు కల్టివేట్ చేసుకొని ఈ ఈ సింపుల్ మనం ఆరోగ్య సూత్రాలు పాటిస్తుంటే మీరు కావాల్సినటువంటి గమ్యాన్ని మీరు ఈజీగా చేరుకోగలుగుతారు. ఇది నేను చెప్పదలుచుకున్నటువంటిది యోగా ద్వారా. I think am I clear to the listeners in Telugu? Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Colonel garu,
Yes, sir.
Dinesh.
Yes, I am listening.
Yes. Is that all right for you?
Yes, sir. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Enough for that Telugu version is enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Oh, welcome. Right. Good. Right. Who is the next person to any question, please? Any other questions?
సార్ నమస్తే సార్.
నమస్కారం. ఎవరండి?
సార్ నేను రాణి సార్, ఫ్రమ్ చిత్తూరు.
రాణి, ఏం చదువుతున్నారండి? చదువుతున్నారా లేదంటే వృత్తి ఏదైనా ఉద్యోగం?
ఇంజనీరింగ్ కాలేజ్ లో వర్క్ చేస్తున్నాను సార్.
వృత్తి అంటే ఉద్యోగస్తురాలు. చెప్పండి.
ఇంజనీరింగ్ కాలేజ్ లో వర్క్ చేస్తున్నాను సార్ నేను.
చెప్పండి అమ్మా.
అసలు అష్టాంగ యోగాలు, కుండలిని యోగం చాలా బాగా చెప్పారు సార్. మాకు ఇది చాలా బాగా యూస్ అవుతుంది సార్, మా లైఫ్ లో మా కెరీర్ ని డెవలప్ చేసుకోవడానికి.
ఏం లేదండి, జీవితంలో మీరు భయపడాల్సిన పని, దేనికి మీరు భయపడాల్సిన పని లేదండి. మీకు ఈ యోగా చేస్తే మీకు ఆత్మధైర్యం చాలా పెరుగుతుంది. నేను చెప్తున్నాను, ఎలాంటి సమస్య అయిన జీవితంలో మీరు ఎదుర్కోగలుగుతారు. ఆత్మధైర్యం లేదు మనకు. ఆత్మధైర్యం ఎలా వస్తుంది? మనం ఒక్కసారి మన జీవన శైలిని ఒకసారి మనం పరిశీలించుకుంటే మనకే తెలుస్తుంది. ఓహో, మన జీవన శైలిలోనే తప్పులు ఉన్నాయి, ఇది కానీ మనం దిద్దుకున్నామంటే మనకు డెఫినెట్ ఈ ఆత్మధైర్యము ఇవన్నీ మనకు వస్తుంది. మనం ఏదైనా మనం ఎదుర్కోగలుగుతాము అనే ఇది నమ్మకం వస్తుందండి. చెప్పండి.
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
ఇంకెవరండి? ఇంకేమన్నా? ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ from the listeners? Dr. Vasti Bakhtiyari?
Yes, sir.
I think the program has gone on well.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think it is a very successful one. And I hope you are all satisfied with my input that I have given. Yes. So I congratulate you and Mr. Venkatramana and the Colonel Dinesh for having organized this, and my best wishes to the college also, to all teachers and students. Right.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir.
Right.
ధన్యవాదాలు, sir.
Right.
I request our Venkatramana sir, Lieutenant Venkatramana sir, ప్లీజ్ మన కమాండింగ్ ఆఫీసర్ గారికి కూడా కొంచెం కొన్ని వాక్యాలు చెప్పమని చెప్పండి. मैं बहुत ही प्रणाम करते हुए, आदर करते हुए हमारे कमांडिंग ऑफिसर श्रीमती श्री दिनेश झा जी से आवेदन करता हूं कि वो भी कुछ इस समय पे कहें, हमारे छात्रों को संबोधित करें.
सर, थैंक यू. Should I speak in English or Hindi?
English, sir. English.
Sir, good morning to all. Good morning to working principal Venkatramana sir, Professor Raghupati sir. And indeed a proud moment for us. And I also welcome all the students who have joined us on the webinar and all staff of Government Degree College, Raichoti. Yoga does not need any emphasis. What is its importance, how helpful it is, and how it can change our life. I'll start with the thing, how it changed my life. While in 1986, I was 1986, I was in intermediate college, 86. So during college time, a team of yoga people came and motivated us. And during that time, I had a question, sir, what is the difference between a normal student and intelligent student? And how one can sharpen his mind? That question looked stupid then, people laughed. But what they told me many technical things. But one thing they told me, like electrical switches, we have got a third eye. So somehow, if you can concentrate on your center of eyebrow or in the center of head, or just before nose, or where your mother puts that bindi, if you can concentrate for a minute or two, that I started practicing and it changed my life. I was normal 60% student, 60% type. Then I started doing well in academics. It increased my interest in NCC, that is yoga. Then I learned other asanas, that is pranayam basically, and other asanas, and got gold medal in BSc in my university. And after that, I started teaching yoga to people. And things have changed. My sons are practicing yoga, they are well. And if all of us, Professor Ragpati is a god for us, but if we can become normal human being, and if one people teaches one, whoever is in your neighborhood, start with your family, and in neighborhood, if you can change somebody's life, it does not have any side effect, it does not have any bad practices. Start something, that is, teach your neighbor or teach your friend or teach someone what are the benefits and how to start it. If you initiate it, then God is there, the people will progress. That is all. It has helped me, and I request you all to practice it. Thank you very much. Thank you for organizing and inviting me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
హలో వెంకట్రావు ఇంకా క్లోజ్ చేసి కదా ప్రోగ్రామ్ అయిపోయిందా? హలో program అయిందా? అయిపోయిందా?
Yes, sir. Last item of the program is vote of thanks. I request our IQAC coordinator, Mr. Ramasagar, to please vote of thanks, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Please. Please. Sir, not audible, sir.
Sir, am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, please. Go ahead.
I request all the participants to fill up the feedback form. If
Yes.
you fill up the feedback form, then only you will get the online certificate. It will generate within 5 minutes. Sir, actually, 100 above participants are joined, registered, but
Yes.
through the WebEx technical problems, many couldn't join in the program. This is our first webinar. In the coming days, we will come across and we will overcome this problem. Due to technical problems, the WebEx is very difficult to join for some students. That is the main problem, sir. Now I thank our Raghupati sir, our beloved professor in PG College, SP University. Throughout his life, he is a true, genuine yogi. From all his came to know that uh, yoga is this, yoga is that, yoga is this, and like that. There are so many things in yoga. If you put it in one words of Sri Aurobindo, he says that all life is yoga. Life is all encompassing, all comprehensive. So yoga also like that. We get it from the speech of Dr. Raghupati sir. We are observing since our PG days. He is a true Hatha yogi. He never misses a single day. He always practicing. He's a man. He never misses a single day doing yoga. Once there was an incident. We returning from Bhubaneswar after receiving Black People's National Award. During our journey, what happens? He missed that yoga practice. After landing in Chennai, immediately we reached the railway station. He immediately takes one lunch outside the railway station. Then 1.5 hours, he practices his daily yoga asanas and mudras and pranayamas. After then, he immediately returned to railway station. This is the one day I fear that I am going to miss my practice, he said. That is the only one day in his entire 40 years of continuous practicing in yoga. So that shows how dedicated he is towards yoga. Today we have two stalwarts, eminent personalities. One is Dr. Raghupati sir. He searches and he fights with his own self. And another side, we have Dr. Colonel Dinesh Jha sir, commanding officer. He fights with the enemies outside of our country or inside of our country. But both are warriors. Today we are so much fortunate enough and we are very, very delighted by the grace of both of their presence. Why? Because both are warriors. One is protecting our country and one is helping the students with his essence of message on this powerful International Yoga Day. And message is very much reached, sir, and we carry your message to our students in our web classes, in our daily classes, sir. With these few words, I convey my thanks to our beloved professor, Dr. K.V. Raghupati, sir. Our computer expert, sir, Sagar, sir, just told me that feedback form is ready and all the participants can go and fill up the forms. Now I conclude this session.
Okay.
I convey my thanks to our principal, Dr. Wasiullah Bakhtiyari, sir, and
Thank
IQAC coordinator, Sri Ram Sagar, sir, and all my technical staff, Nagarjuna, computer department, and Bakhtiyari and Jilani, sir. And I convey my best regards to our CCE for giving opportunity to conduct this program. And I thank our Wasiullah sir once again for giving me this opportunity and encouraging all the staff members. Even though there is one just 2 days of time, with
Yes.
his motivation, we conduct this this webinar. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Okay.
These few vote of thanks, I conclude this session, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations to NCC wing and IQAC of the college. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. చేద్దాం సార్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ సార్ ఎగ్జిటెడ్ సార్ ఎవరు అంతే వెళ్ళిపోయారు